I'm Russ with Spool Racing, and today I'm doing another Diecast tournament watch. EP Videos is hosting maybe the coolest looking diecast race ever. The race is set at night and all of the cars have headlights installed. Yes, you heard me right, 1/64 scale diecast racing cars with headlights installed. This tournament is totally worth the time to check it out. In addition to the visual awesomeness, this EP Videos tournament is Fast and Furious themed, full with video game style chats between characters and a tournament structure fit for the Fast and Furious. Before the race started, each car was given style points to see how well they decked out the cars. In racing, 3 cars squared off, while being chased by our beloved police officer, Roberto. If the police passed a car, then that car would lose a point. The cars that advance to the next round will go head-to-head in one-on-one races for an opportunity to gain more points. Here's a quick recap of the cars that are advancing to the second round. I'm dividing the cars into 3 tiers. The lowest tier consists of cars that I have serious concerns about their skill and consistency on the track. Team Money just doesn't have the speed to scare anyone. Here, Team Money gets out in front, but TK easily closes the gap and is riding his bumper over the finish line. Here's another example. With Roberto in close pursuit, Team Money decides to obey the law and pull off to the side of the road to let the officer pass. It's like he forgot he was in a street race. Mark Pan is the second member of the lowest tier. While Mark has some decent acceleration, his car looks like it weighs less than a Fiat. Look at him getting pushed over the edge here as he tries to sneak in for the pass on the inside lane. This actually happened twice in the first round, and the second time it was even more embarrassing than the first. Here, it looks like he sees contact coming and intentionally drives off the edge. It's going to be a rough second round for Mark Pana if he doesn't figure out how to hold his ground through that turn. Finally, Big Al rounds out the lowest tier. In this heat, Big Al looks great and takes a commanding lead, only to become a top candidate of the tournament for the most embarrassing pass. Look at him, he seems to stop right in the middle of the bank and tip over right at the moment that Olsen absolutely blows past him and leaves him in the dust. While the lowest tier of racers leaves me a bit underwhelmed, the middle tier shows promise if they can clean up their racing a bit. Arlo has good acceleration, but I'm a little bit concerned about his top speed. Here you can see Arlo gets off the line fast, but just doesn't quite have enough to get the police off his tail. Even at that, Arlo still has great skill and can be dangerous, but he needs to avoid mistakes like this if he wants to make it to the finals. Sneaky Bob was solid enough the first round to advance, but really needs to put together a complete series of races if he wants to advance. This pass at the finish line shows his potential for some real racing. Yet also in the first round, he lost concentration and drove off the road here. 2K rounds out the middle tier, and while showing some strengths, his weaknesses are hard to ignore. Here he has a strong finish while he's in pole position. In the next race though, he gets caught trying to pass on the inside lane of the 90-degree turn, and is forced off the track. I don't mean to just be pointing out all of his flaws, but his highlights are just too fun. Here he's trying to pass again on an open turn, but he just doesn't quite have the speed to overtake, and causes both drivers to fall off the track. And finally here, 2K's day, it's just been too long and he decides to take a break, so he pulls over, well short of the finish line. Now let's talk about the Primo tier, the top tier. This group had an incredible first round, showing great acceleration and top speed as well as top-notch handling and skill for overtaking opponents. Olsen's first round cements him in as one of the favorites. Watch here as he closes out this race with awesome speed around the final corner. While Olsen's speed is fantastic, his handling and skill make him more than a handful for other racers. Sean DeLong certainly belongs in the top tier as well. Watch this pass closely. DeLong struggles a bit with handling out of the turn, giving a huge lead to Sneaky Bob. But then DeLong shows turbo speed and just annihilates Sneaky Bob, passing him with such speed that Sneaky Bob drives off the track. Here's another great example. In this heat, DeLong takes a conservative start to the race, maybe even plotting to try and bump off Sneaky Bob on the first open track turn. When his strategy fails, he presses the accelerator to the floor and completely leaves the group behind him. That type of acceleration and top speed with aggressive driving style will be very hard for anyone to beat. Big Mac rounds out the top tier and he shows that he's every bit as good as Olsen and DeLong. Check out this highlight. Big Mac starts in the outside lane and plays the dual lane section conservatively, waiting for an opportunity to pass. As soon as Mark Pan loses focus, Big Mac hits the opening and tears past Pan with an incredible burst of speed and control. In this next race, Big Mac shows both how patient and aggressive he can be in the same race. Starting in the back lane, he knows he needs to let the race play out a bit. After Brown pushes Pan off the track, Big Mac starts the hunt and finds an opening on the outside. This is a really challenging place to pass as most drivers don't have near enough speed to attempt to pass this early. But Big Mac gains position and rides Brown on the outside until savagely forcing him off the track. Any drivers facing Olsen, DeLong, or Big Mac on the one-on-one racing should be afraid, as these drivers show no sign of weakness. There's still one driver left, Blank, and I'm putting him off on his own because I don't think he has a chance to advance to the finals, largely because of his low style points. and even though he didn't even win his group in round 1, I was still really impressed by his racing. So I'm going to name him as the Party Crasher. I'm really excited to see him race in the one-on-one competitions, as I don't think his score reflects his potential as a driver. In this race, Blank gets caught behind Sam Hall's failing Civic, but he somehow makes his way down the track and comes out of nowhere to sideswipe Rubber Toe. What an incredible pass here. Finally in this race, watch how Blank absorbs the contact from Arlo through the turn, then hits light speed to leave him behind. Here's an exclusive preview of how the one-on-one head-to-head matchups have been arranged. Arlo will verse 2K, Mark Pan will verse Big Al, T-Money will verse Sneaky Bob, and finally the two must-watch races are Sean DeLong versus Blank and Olsen versus Big Mac. In the second group of races, Arlo will verse T-Money, Olsen will verse 2K, Blank will verse Big Al, Sneaky Bob versus Mark Pan, and finally the must-watch race is Sean DeLong versus Big Mac. However these races play out, this tournament has been awesome. Thank you to EP Videos for putting together such an entertaining series. Be sure to tune in to see how the series ends, and race on, friends.